next, we have got a fantastic panel discussion for you where we are going to take you on a journey through the subject, technology trends impacting quality assurance, quality engineering, and digital assurance. Because of the pandemic-fueled shift in consumer expectations from digital-first businesses, CX practitioners must walk the extra mile to deliver flawless user experiences. And in this regard, quality assurance teams have a huge responsibility, ensuring every company offering across platforms and over devices leads to the expected outcomes. Highlighting trends that will cause disruptions in this field, our panelists will give you a bird's eye view of this subject. I'd like to welcome up to the stage our moderator, Shivani Sharma, founder of K-Leap Technologies, to initiate the proceedings. Shivani, would you like to come up, please? And I shall let you introduce the rest of our panelists. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. A very good morning. Can I have all my panelists over the stage? So meanwhile, they are joining me. Today, we will be talking about top trends that is impacting our quality assurance, digital assurance, and quality engineering. I am joined by Arwa, Satish, and Pradeep. Please give them a big round of applause. Thank you, everyone, for joining me over the stage. So when I talk about quality assurance, it establishes ways to find, detect, and prevent a lot of defects and bugs in an application. Quality assurance also practices to ensure smooth interaction between the digital components, which also underlines the digital engineering. And when we talk about quality engineering, it tries to create and implement strategies around how you can better define your user experience. With this, I personally believe the top trends that impact these assurances would be, number one, security, because I am from the cybersecurity domain. I would talk all about security. And then data. How is user experience impacting all the quality engineering? And last and all, partner relations. So with this, I would want to ask Arwa, how do you feel, I believe you are from the software development sector, how do you believe and feel about security being part of this domain?
Well, definitely security takes a huge, let's say, part of it. I'm not into security particular, to be honest. I'm into software development as a website and application, data structure, the user experience itself. But I know that you will cover that topic better than me, to be honest. But it's definitely the security is still, let's say, I'm from Kuwait, all right? So the market is still young over there. And the security of it, requires a lot of, let's say, focus, okay? And definitely saving the data and having the sensitivity of it, it will produce a better software at the end of it.
Absolutely, I totally resonate that with you. And I believe Satish, from being in the security domain, he would like to share something. How do you feel security being a part of your software development lifecycle?
Hello. Yeah. So security is all about shifting left nowadays. Like security is not something you develop a product, after that you go and find any issues there and you come back and fix those issues. It should be starting from the day one of the project, you should ensure a secure developing practice on your application so that you will not end up with surprises while during the delivery and security team comes and says that, okay, your code has this vulnerability, go fix it. Then only I will come and allow it. And it basically impact the quality assurance of the product. So you will have all the functionality included and it is not having any vulnerability. So it is about you are not not protecting your asset, you are preventing your asset rather than the protection. Yeah.
Very well. And Praveen, how do you feel quality being part of what you design for the community these days?
The quality matters the most because you are into, when we buy something, we are into something. Even if an app we are using, the quality defines itself. The user interface defines itself. The better the quality, the better users will you get. The better market approach you will get. Quality is the main thing. You can't get into quantity, but quality, it's what makes you stand out from the rest. The quality is main for your business and for everyone. Even we were talking about the security. I want to quote one thing, that your data is the most expensive thing you have. If your data gets leaked, you are nothing without that. Your product specifications, your product details, if everyone has that, you are nothing different from everyone else. So what we have to do is we have to get that much security into your interface, your applications, that you're preventive and you focus on the futuristics. Yes.
Very well said, Praveen, because I also feel these days data is something that is very important to you. We, from the security domain, we feel the CIA triad, the confidentiality, integrity, and the availability of data are the prime pillars of any information security domain. And having said that, we have, from all domains that we are from, we have a huge responsibility on us on protecting the consumer data. That's why we have the PII. And also, doing that, we want to make sure the quality is maintained. And Arva would agree with me, like while developing software, so many iterations you have to go through.
Definitely.
How do you make sure that quality is maintained at utmost level in developing a software?
Okay, so basically what's the methodology that you use in the development, whether it's like going with an agile, it's all user experience or user focused, let's say. So that's, I would save some resources. At the end, your developers are your main resources. How much time is the cost for any development company, let's say. So based on that, if I know that's how to break down the project to phases, then take each phase with its time frame and based on the feedback of the client and the user experience, the end user of it, where you can focus on delivering high quality, as he said, as well as delivering the end products based on the user and experience, which is the customer basically is the one who's going to use it as well. So based on that, I think breaking it down into cycles and using the agile methodology as well as sprints, scrums, that way where you develop the software correctly, I believe.
Right. And also, I would also like to add to it, having those constant testing, quality assurance testing would give
Definitely.
a better trust and credibility that your software is being developed correctly. And if there are any changes, you can again go back and repeat that iteration.
Definitely, definitely. One thing that I wanted to add as a point is the sustainability of the software, where you would see that the end result after like 5 years or 10 years, where you're heading. So basically, we will start as an MVP, and this is I give it to all my clients. You would use with the minimal viable product. Let's say it's a simple e-commerce website, but later on, after 5 years or 10 years, you want to reach something that's maybe embedding an AI in it, or a VR for a better shopping experience. So taking those kind of visions from the start point and knowing how to build your software based on it, that's a better way or a better approach. This is what's sustainability in technology, basically.
Absolutely. And when we talk about quality testing, I would also want to add security testing as well. And I think no better than Satish to enlighten us, like how can continuous monitoring and continuous testing at interval phases can help your product to stand out in the market?
Yeah. So previously, when we talk about the automation into the application deployment, okay, it all started with DevOps, where we automate the application deployment process. Then the quality team is also added into the fact that way they write automated test cases and it is executed, and only if the test cases passes, then it is being moved on to the next environment. Like best example would be like Amazon. Like when you see Amazon AWS console in the cloud, today you will see a feature, and tomorrow within an hour you can see a new feature is getting added. It's because they have automated the complete process. But in the recent terms, there is a new concept called DevSecOps comes into picture, because people started to realize that security is very, very integral part. And when I talk about security, it is not just related to your software code or not just related to your infrastructure. We have to do the testing end to end, like starting from your code. Is the static code, like the actual source code is having issue, or once you build the application, is it bringing in any vulnerability, or when you host the application onto a target platform. And nowadays we are using lots and lots of technology while we are designing a simple application. Like let's say when we talk about e-commerce, previously it will be like a web application, I order it, and it send a mail or information to the shipping industry and send it. Now we are moving into AI and VR, where we need lots and lots of tools which we are bringing in, like we are making that user experience better by bringing in lots of other components, small components into the picture. So we need to ensure that we are giving a better user experience at the same time, because all their personal informations are stored. When I talk about AI is all about reading all the possible data and then learning based on the data, and it is going to give you a suggestion based on the learning. So here we are giving the complete data, whatever the platform is having to AI, and if I have a vulnerability in the AI, right, and if my competitor takes that data, you're out of business, right? So I think keeping UX and quality of the product and ensuring that it is most available, we need to ensure that security is covered and each and every steps of it, so that you are not going to lose your business because of a loophole in your application.
Absolutely. And now with a lot of technologies that are coming in, we are trying to predict what can happen analytically. And Praveen, I would like to ask you, when we have such kind of tools and technology available where we can think analytically and perceive what is going to happen next, how do you think like we are able to make our engineering better for the user?
First of all, speaking about the quality, I can't say I'm providing the best quality in the world. The user will say that you have the best quality. I can't assure you that I have the best quality. I will say that I have the best quality, but the right to say that I have the best quality is with the user. If the user says that I'm providing the quality, then I am providing the quality. I can't say it on my own. So as well, speaking to the engineering, there's a saying that you try, then you succeed. So for the engineering purpose, you have to get the user's database from them, what their feedback is. For that, you have to go to the user, ask them, then you provide the engineering sufficient for that usage. They want some changes in your application, they want some changes in your software, they want your website. That's what assures the quality which is given by the user, that you have to change this in your interface, that you have to change this in your database. And security as well, you have to provide them, you have to give the confidence to the user that you are providing this security as well.
Absolutely. And there comes the better user design, user experience, how you can elevate that experience for your customers. Arva, would you like to add something to that?
Yeah, definitely. So basically I would like to add to the previous point as well, that data structure it's how you structure your data is also built on the user experience. So whatever information that I'm going to take from the user, as whether it's just a registration or maybe it's a systematic for an education system, something like that, there is I would know how to restructure it, so I would really be better communicating with my engineering team. I don't want to waste the time and effort of going back and forth or structuring it based on my perspective. It's the end user experience, basically. It's who's going to be registering on the website. It's who's going to be buying my product. That's taking from that perspective, let's say from outside in, I would say. from the end user who's registering or whatever, or maybe it's an administration within the institution or the organization. If it's like just a system within the company, I'm getting a few clients in my head right now, so that's where I'm speaking of. So taking from that, I would say I know how to structure my databases, and I know how to build my functionalities and how to save time and maybe even deliver the project in a faster pace based on that. And maybe even eliminate some of the features. It's not needed.
Right. So it all depends upon how you are getting the feedback from the user.
Exactly.
And making the product more user-friendly, and so that they can be, given better experiences throughout. And when we are building all this, we tend to forget the most important thing, that is the data that we are handling for the customers, for the users, and the people who would be registering on it.
Exactly.
So, Praveen, what do you think? How is handling of data impacted, or how handling of data has provided quality assurance to the user? How can you do that?
So providing the quality with data handling, that is the main part. We are talking about the internet. So you have to handle the data. If your data gets leaked, you won't give the best quality to the customer, to the user. You are providing the data as of now. You provide the user that you have the data safe. You have prevented their data from getting leaked, from getting sourced to anybody else. You have seen many companies, big giants, whose data got leaked. So that's what happens. The user experience gets low. The user will start questioning yourself and your interface, that what you are doing with my data. My data is getting leaked. Where is the security with my data? I'm trusting you with my everything, and you are not giving me the best quality which I should have. So that's where the data handling comes on. You have to handle the data such that the security, the quality, and all the aspects related to the data are handled. You can't just give them the quality without the security, or only the security without the quality. You have to handle everything at one point and say that the best handling is given to your data and to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's where the data loss prevention comes into picture. So Satish, I see you want to add something.
Yes, actually I want to add a different perspective here. When we talk about the customer feedback, okay, let's be honest, like if someone comes and asks you, like will we give a real feedback or just in phase? Okay, I just want to give them, okay, I'm okay with the product, but the actual feedback is like how frequently I'm using this service. Let's say nowadays no product is like a monopoly here, right? Every product has their minimum 2 to 3 replacement. Okay, so when it comes to the user feedback, rather than getting the real feedback from the user, it really helps it. But this is where the AI and the data processing comes into picture. Understand what this customer is using, okay? Whether he is staying on this page for a longer time and what are the functionalities he is frequently using. As you rightly said, like I may have a functionality which like only 2% of the user is seeing that. I may not need the functionality. There may be some functionality which 80% of the user is using. I will try to improve that functionality a bit more so that people will get more engaged into that functionality. I think here is where the analytics comes into picture, and as you told, like the data comes into picture. Not only the user data you need to do, like how the user is using the application. We need to collect the data and correlate it, and then out of that we need to get the deliver the better user experience to the end user. I think that is where all these latest technologies has to come in, and then we need to use that.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. Based on the user behavior, we take that analytics and we improve the experience. But what I was talking about regarding removing some features, coming from a software development company and as a business background, most of the clients want something extremely fancy. They will say to you, coming like, I want to create the next Amazon. But you don't need all of Amazon features as a start. Yeah. So maybe build it step at a time. That's where I'm talking about. Just take it as a minimal viable product, launch your e-commerce website, then build upon that. But taking like Amazon, it's as a look, as huge as it is, as a look, it does not have that friendliness interface as well. I know that it's well known worldwide, but it does not have that friendly interface. But you have a lot of maybe like smaller companies, I would say, which have better interfaces and user experiences. And I know a lot of people who would jump into websites and buy products, and this is the end result of all of this, basically. Whoever is building their websites, it's a business. They want to make money out of it. So a lot of people who would jump into like a specific website just because they prefer their user experience. And you might lose clients as well because you have a bad experience. So the feedback takes upon, definitely you have to keep your model in perspective and keep your values as a company. You don't lose that, but still you want to like, you couldn't build a platform for a school, preschool, let's say, okay, or kindergarten, similar as you're building an e-commerce for a luxury brand. That's totally different markets. So based on that, I think someone can build.
Right, like now user experience being the center stage for everything that we do, from building a product or maybe launching a food brand. Everything is all about user experience, and there comes the technologies. We have been talking about augmented reality, AI, everything coming into picture. So do you think this wave of user experience is also affecting the quality of engineering that we are doing with our products?
I think in a way, yes, because it's based on their behavior, we're taking and we're advancing. Like, okay, I might take an information or kind of data on the user experience of kindergarten platform or system, and maybe apply some of that feedback on an e-commerce website as well, because they have something in common. Both has the parent, which is the adults here. Definitely, they're gonna be like different uses cases, but you want to see the common ground, basically, so that you can increase your business.
Absolutely. So I would also like to hear from Praveen. So do you think having this user experience and delivering better and the best user experiences have had an impact on quality of engineering?
I will give a practical example of this at this point of time. We are sitting here in the Internet 2.0 conference. The user experience, what you get from here, will let you go to the next conference, which they organize. The feedback which you give to the committee, it defines what they will do in the next conference. So that's what happens. If you get a bad experience from here, you won't go to the next conference. That same happens in your websites, your softwares, your technology, every part. If you get a good experience, you get a good feedback, then the customer will be coming to you again and again. If you get a bad experience, the customer won't come to you again till the time you improve. And till the time you give the assurance to the customer that you have improved from your past experiences, from your feedback. If you go on the same path, you won't allow the best quality. That's where the user interface and what the feedback from the user is getting helps us from giving best quality.
So true. So Satish, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I would like to add not just the user experience, we also need to think of the observability and availability of the system. Okay, imagine I'm going on a website, I'm just adding a product to the cart. Okay, if that particular functionality is having an issue, I will discard the website and I will move on to a new website and start adding things, right? Here comes the observability part, and also how effectively we are testing each and every component. Like in a traditional software development, we never used to bring in a failure into that. We will just go and test the functionality. If it is working, working. If it is not working, we'll just move on to it. But because of the latest technologies like microservices and other things comes in, there comes a concept of fault injection, where you can basically inject a fault and see how the system is going to react to that. Because you should give a valid error for them, right? Like for example, let's take a payment gateway. Your credit card is expired. Let's say, which is a very common error. Instead of credit card expired, you are just saying payment failed. he will never realize that, okay, my card is expired. You should clearly tell them your credit card is expired. Please enter a valid credit card. If in my testing, I didn't capture that and I'm saying that payment failed, he will think that, okay, it's a problem with the payment gateway. I will go and check it on the other website. You are losing your business. So the way we are testing the application by including the fault injection, and then the way we are observing the, implementing the monitoring and ensuring that, okay, if this error comes in, what I needs to do, okay? Unfortunately, most of the bugs which we see in our system are identified by the customer, not by our QA or the developer.
True.
So that is where our reputation is going to be in a big thing. If in Amazon, if I see one error, that's okay. If I continuously see 3-4 errors on Amazon, I will never go back to Amazon. I will just go and change it to Flipkart or whatever other systems is having. So I think we need to, with the help of, I hope you might have heard about the chaos engineering. Like chaos monkey is a concept which has been developed by Netflix actually. So what the framework is all about is, think of like you are letting a chaos monkey inside this room. You will never know what it is going to do. It can unplug the TV, it can unplug my mic. So they will have a framework. So in that they will break every system randomly and check whether my application is resilient and it can run it. So these kind of technology has to be embraced by all the quality assurance team to ensure the product is tested well before going into the production. I think that is where we need to target more on the user experience is next. If the system is down, so we need to put more impact, or we need to do more testing on the availability and observability. That's what my point here is.
Absolutely. So when you speak about the bugs and everything, my mind actually goes to the bug bounty hunting platforms and, people finding bugs in any application and, yay, I found a bug, I'll be getting a bounty out of it. But it also gives a lot of companies, all these crowdsourced platforms gives a lot of companies a heads up as well, like there's something in their system that is faulty and which they need to work on. And also a downside of it is, like in the market when it goes, we found a bug in their system. It's directly negative on their reputation. So building resilient products, secure products, I think that should be our main aim. And you being from the software development and maintaining all these standards, how do you think it is as a challenge?
That's a huge challenge. I would say it's like La La Land. It does not exist, a bug-free platform. It's everyone wishful thinking, I say. So I think accepting that bugs is part of any kind of development. Okay, it has to happen. The only thing is you need to catch it early, you need to fix it, then release it, the next, let's say, version of it. So basically, I think like accepting that bugs is part of the system. It's just you need to avoid the bigger bugs, let's say. So basically, it's having an error message. And communicating to the client, it's a huge, like I would say, bonus in a way, but that's adding a functionality of maybe like adding to cart, or maybe having like going to minus as a product. Those are scenarios that you also want to cover in quality assurance. You want to make sure that your platform is you want to think as an engineer, you want to think of all the possible and non-possible scenarios. So nobody would go have okay, I want to have -1 of this product. But that's definitely something you want to cover as an engineer within your platform. You want to see if someone's going to inject kind of information or someone want to try to actually attack you. And this is what even the big companies within worldwide, nobody is secure 100%. They just have the team who's ready to handle that risk. So that's whether it was a bug-free, which I think like a few months ago we saw that Facebook pushed a new feature which like crashed the whole social media platform for few hours. So that's a huge effect on the business. And it was like one developer mistakes who just like forgot to uncomment a line of or something like that. So that's one of the things. Those things are happening. We have accepted that this is part of our development cycle. We just need to catch it early and fix it as soon as possible.
Absolutely. And also, I would say security is a myth. So, adding security in early stages of your software development life cycle, and we cannot avoid risk. We first need to accept the risk and then try to mitigate it and find out possible solutions around it, how we are going to deal with this. And with that comes our partner ecosystem, our partner relations. When we are business owners, we have to deal with clients, we have to deal with partners, and foster that trust, that credibility inside the partner. Okay, you're dealing business with me, and this is something that I am offering. How do you induce that interest in a partner?
Firstly, we would like to add one line to that bug thing. Bugs are not drawbacks for us. Bugs are the way for improvement.
True.
Very true.
So for the partner relationships, what we have to trust, because a software company will mostly participate with a real estate company for the practical company, which is going to the ground. So what we have to partner is that we have to provide them the best quality. Like that's the way to the growth. Internet is a way to the growth. If you are not on the internet, you can't grow more. That's a global platform. I can search a company in the US sitting over here. That's what partner relationships means. I can email them that I want to partner with you. I want to start a business in the US. So what partnership defines is that if I'm mailing someone, that should have a good impact, like which my company is providing to you is beneficial for you as well, and my company is providing the quality, and both of us, if we partner, we will have a great opportunity to grow and develop something that will be unique and that will be better for the society as well. Even after developing these systems, we have to also think about the sustainability of the nature as well. That's also a bigger part. That's also a concern, because everybody is talking about that. You can't sustain on everything that's on fossil fuels or that's polluting the environment. That will be the main cause after all. So partnerships will be like that are profitable, that are towards the growth, that are sustainable to the nature. So all these aspects, and as well as the security of both the partners, the confidentiality between those partners, that is the main concerns, and that is the main points where people partner and people provide the good qualities. We have seen big giants coming together to give the best quality and best results to the society as well.
Absolutely. And also, I would like to add, when it comes to the security field, I think this plays a very important role when we have to show your demo or a MVP. You have to launch it out. You need to say, my product is secure. I will keep your personal information safe. So Satish, how do you think like security as a service or security as a component in your software adds to trust in partner relationships?
Okay, so nowadays most of the tools are like coming as a SaaS thing. Okay, it has its own advantage and disadvantage. Like I don't think now Microsoft is going to sell your MS Word installer hereafter. It's all Office 365 now. And most of the big e-commerce giants, you talk about Hybris or Magento, everyone is giving their SaaS platform there. And think about the payment gateway. All the payment gateway has now come in as a SaaS. You don't need much of a thing. So as this SaaS movement is going further, okay, dealing with partnership or dealing with the partners is going to be much easier, and it is all API nowadays. Okay. So here, when I talk about the advantages over there, like whenever I found an issue or a bug, I'm going to fix it immediately, and it is going to fix the bug for everyone. Okay, but it has a downside also. The way I have integrated with the partner, if the bug fix is going to impact the existing thing, I'm in a deeper trouble because of the partner's change. I need to do that. So there should be a very very open window communication with the partners or any third-party system we interact. We should have I would say we should have an automated way of doing it rather than someone sitting and monitoring. Okay, when we work with customer, we used to hear this lot, the major monitoring is done by the infrastructure team. They don't have any clue about application. If application is throwing some error, this guy will just send a mail to the application team saying that your application is throwing the error, because he don't have any clarity or in-depth knowledge of the application, understand why this is happening. So I think people say the word called no ops, but I really don't like the concept of no ops, because without ops you cannot survive. It should be like we have a term called full stack developer, right? They take care of all the UI backend database. There should be a term where operations should also be included there, so that all the team is working as a single individual team, rather than saying that, okay, this is your problem, this is the error it's throwing, I'm just reporting the error. It should be something we should have an automation which in place, which can identify these kind of integration issues, or let it be a monitoring issues. It should identify that, and at the end, our target should be like we give a better user experience to them, so that they will be happy in using our product, not like, okay, I'm seeing an error, I will go back to the another app. I think that is where we should target more in the quality assurance part. Okay, even ops may not be part of the quality assurance at all, but later when it is living in the production, we need to include them, and a proper handover, or it should be acting as a single team, not as two different teams like throwing balls there.
Definitely. And I've always, I always say that you cannot be a one-man show. So definitely you don't have it all within you, all the capabilities, whether it was like, as you said, like you might be having a strength in the security, but I have a strength in the front end or a user experience. So we can, in that way, you can come as a collaborate in a partnership, and well, if you play on each side's strength, that's how you come with a better quality of the whole product. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I would also want to add to Satish and Arva, like most of the developers hate the security ops. Because even after they fix everything from their quality assurance side, and they have done all their regression testing, stress testing, everything, and then we come, the security operation, okay, there is something, and they hate it. They absolutely hate it. Like when you tell them, so you need to fix something in your code. My code is perfect. They wouldn't take it.
They wouldn't take it.
And the biggest problem is most of the vulnerabilities we identify, they have to re-engineer the process.
Exactly.
I do remember that one time that I had a code it was running smoothly, and I was like, there's something wrong with it. Why is it working smoothly? There has to be a bug in it. And I created the bug, actually.
You are the adventurous one, then.
I am the adventurous one. That's how you learn, basically.
Absolutely. So also the DevSecOps, Satish, you were mentioning. So Praveen, I would also want to ask you, how do you develop and you try to produce quality engineering and also take care of the security alongside?
Developing the security, another example from the industry. If you are sitting in a Tesla, you can switch on to an autopilot and you can rest. That's what the confidence, that's the technology, that's the quality which is Tesla given to us. You can't get into any vehicle and set an autopilot and you can go on the road, because you don't have the same confidence as of the company. So what we have to provide is that confidence that anybody can rely on you blindfoldedly. That's what quality and confidence we should give to our customers, partners, and everybody who is interfering with us. That's what happens in the industry. That's what quality means. The confidence, the more the confidence, the more the quality.
Absolutely. Would you want to add something?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, so now I would like to open for questions from the audience, if you have any.
Good afternoon to all the panelists. I'm from Kuraksha Enterprises LLP. I'm the managing partner. We're a managed security service provider. I have had the pleasure of interacting with most of the panelists here. Our question is a lot more practical as an MSSP. How do we particularly decide if security, whatever we are planning from? So we normally have a risk-driven approach towards information security. How do we decide if the security for the organization is enough? I mean, at what point in time is whatever we are doing enough? And at one point in time, is whatever the organization doing enough as far as security goes? How do we decide the budget for something like this? Of course, we have a risk-driven approach. We tend to value the assets. We tend to figure out the man-hours. We tend to figure out the per minute cost, the asset value cost. Of course, all of this is a part of standard risk management, enterprise information security as well. But then, of course, we are posed with another black box of emerging technologies. So in emerging technologies, of course, it is very difficult to quantify what to secure, how to secure. We end up reverse engineering enterprise emerging technologies into input, processes, and output, and the assets as well. So this is again another black box that we kind of need to figure out how to fix. No amount of security operations is going to ever cover any of this. We can never monitor enough, we can never secure it enough. At some point in time, we normally face these situations. Of course, even you might face them. The client asks, how much should I really spend on security? And you can literally empty their entire coffers just based on something like this. So again, emerging technologies, and then the obvious concern are at the end of it. After you develop something, the privacy aspect of it. So how do we address these concerns as a whole?
Okay, so there are a lot of questions in one. I would like to address it one by one. Sure. If I can, I will try to satisfy all your questions. So first, I think you asked, how and when do you feel that security should be there?
Yes, I mean how much security is enough?
And see, when I say how much security is enough, so it can never be enough. Anything, be it be development cycle or anything, it can never be enough because it has to be a continuous monitoring. It has to be, you have to have provisions to detect it, you need to evaluate it, and then you need to protect it as well. So it all goes on in a cycle. So if you say when you need to plug in security in your system, I would say whenever you're trying to build something, maybe any department in your organization, maybe a product, or maybe if you're setting up small tool as well to ease out your phase, you should have a security in place. Maybe in a form of a standard operating procedure because that also underlines a lot of security. Or maybe you need to have your policies and procedures in place for every department that you do. Now when we have so many standards all around the world like ISOs, they have standards around health and occupational security, information security, business continuity and management. So you need to understand what standard you are aligned to. If I talk about Middle East, they have SAMA, NISA, ECA. So you need to understand which standard or which procedure you are being evaluated with against, and then you need to go ahead with that. And for that, you need to have a security team. Because initially, I can understand because in initial years, security was an integral part of an IT department. Security was taken care by an IT department. And now with the advent of new technologies that are emerging, and with so much of things happening, cybersecurity and information security have taken its own place now. And people are going towards it because they want to protect that. Setting up of budget, I guess, was one of your concern. So
I mean, after we are done with how much is enough, the next obvious question is the budget.
So you need to first understand what you need. Do you need to implement any tool? Do you need to do any testing? Or you need any resource in your organization that will help you with that? So with all those pointers in line, you can have your budget allocated against each, and that's how you can decide. I wouldn't be able to tell you how exactly, maybe we can chat have a chat outside, so we
Absolutely.
can touch upon that. And what else
Yeah,
you have?
the second question was regarding emerging technologies. So after we've dealt with the budget, after we've dealt with how much security is enough, emerging technologies again pose another black box, because it is very difficult to quantify the risk in emerging technologies, because very less is already known about them. Most of it is mainly in a pilot or a prototype. Maybe the customer is still forming the business logic while they're still developing it. It is an obvious black box that we have to take more from a bit by bit perspective as far as enterprise risk management goes.
I would like to answer that, if possible. So emerging technologies, I'm one of the people who would like advocate on early adoption, to be honest. But it's true, not all technologies should be used and implemented. It always depends on the project and purpose. Focus on that and focus on the sustainability of it. Like having products released, I'm an open source as well advocate. So having like an open source technology released by Google or one of the big companies, maybe after 2 years it will be killed because it was on a beta version. So you don't wanna implement it in multiple projects as a business, but you wanna see how sustainable it is. And in open source specifically, you wanna see the growth of the community, because the open source codes or open source technology, is usually depending on the community of it, who's supporting it, who's going to be advocated. If there's a lot of adopters of that technology, like Flutter, it's used to be like way back in 2017 or 2018 when it was released, like a lot of people was hesitated about it, but in 2017, 2018, they released the beta stable version of it and announced it in their conference, and a lot of people adopted from that, specifically the Android developers. So that's a technology that's sustainable, and it's growing right now. And a lot of people and a lot of big businesses, which is Alibaba is one of them, who have adopted to this technology. So I think you want to take it technology case by case in this specific scenario.
If I may. So we normally observe, as a security service provider, we normally observe that various clients, they tend to adopt a lot of technologies without planning, without fore-planning as to how the risk would pan out in something like this. In which case, the onus lies upon the security service provider to actually cover the risk for them. In most cases, it is unsustainable as far as what we have observed. So,
Sorry, can we see if anyone else, because we're almost out of time, has anyone else got any questions in the audience? Because so we're not just taking all the time.
We could have a discussion after the call.
Absolutely,
Sure.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Anyone else
Have we
has any
got any
questions?
other questions from the audience? So we're not. Yeah, so down the front here, please. Down the front here. Yeah, the gentleman has his hand up. Thank you. Thanks.
Hi, panel. Thank you so much for a brilliant session. So my question is around the topic that you guys kind of touched upon, which was about data. So in today's world, we've got big data, which pretty much brings scale. But when you talk about testing, quality assurance, it's all on test cases. And basically, when you're doing it in quality assurance or when you're doing the test cases, we have seen not a huge amount of data is being used. So how do you kind of tackle the sheer amount of data that comes with products that are built upon big data technologies? How do you foresee that posing a challenge for QA?
Yeah, this is a valid challenge. When we talk about covering all the possible scenarios, okay, right? The typical example, what I talked about, credit card may have an expiry, wrong CVV, and all those things, and you may have another scenario which you would never be think of, like UPI and other payments, like the API was supposed to return a proper response. You need to cover all those things, and this is where we need to have a broad, like masked data, right? When I talk about, let's take, I'm going to write a test case for an e-commerce platform, okay? So I shouldn't be testing it with only 20 products in that. I should be testing that in the UAT with almost, if my real production is having 20,000 data, I should be testing it with 40,000 data, so that I will be able to scale up and see how my application is going to react to that much of a data, right? Because sometimes your performance may degrade, and because of the delayness in that, there will be a fault injected because of that. So the way the quality assurance are being done right now, okay, it needs to change, or it needs to adapt the automation and get the data. Anyway, in UAT, you mask the data, whatever you want, you mask it and use it. And it should be like, the approach should be like, I should be doing the testing in the production, not in the UAT. And I would say it's a double of your production, not just your production data.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And do we have time? Okay. So thank you so much for listening to us and having us here today. Thank you, Arva, Praveen, and Satish, and everybody out here. Have a good day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Shivani and to all her fellow panelists as well. Great discussion there. And we've got another session to get